Cadet Riley Martinez had always wondered what it would be like to be the star of her own action movie. Turns out, being strapped to a glowing alien chair in what looked like a disco ball, his evil twin, wasn't quite the glamorous captivity she'd imagined. "Human," Grand Inquisitor Vexthul announced, his scaled chest puffing out like a particularly self-important lizard. "I am the breaker of minds, the crusher of spirits, the one who has made the mightiest warriors of 17 different species weep like hatchlings." Riley blinked slowly. "Cool story, bro. Got any snacks?" Vexthul's golden eyes narrowed to slits. The interrogation chamber hummed with ominous energy, walls pulsing with bioluminescent patterns that probably cost more than Riley's entire education. Too bad they'd wasted all that money on mood lighting when they could have invested in comfortable furniture. "You will surrender the human military codes," Vexthul continued, his voice dropping to what he probably thought was a menacing whisper. "I have broken creatures 3 times your size, with minds far superior to your primitive human consciousness." 3 times my size, huh? Riley shifted in her restraints, trying to find a position that didn't make her shoulder blade cramp. "Let me guess. They were probably way more polite than me, too. That's your first mistake right there." The Grand Inquisitor circled her slowly, his ceremonial robes trailing dramatically. Riley had to admit the guy had style. Terrible, over-the-top, probably compensating for something style, but still. "You mock me because you do not yet understand your situation," Vexthul said, activating a holographic display showing various torture devices. "These codes could end your pathetic war in our favor. You will give them to me, or I will peel away every layer of your sanity until nothing remains but a whimpering shell." Riley studied the hologram with genuine interest. "Is that a space blender? Because honestly, that looks way less intimidating than my old dorm roommate's actual blender. That thing could wake the dead at 3 a.m. Vexthul's jaw dropped slightly. In 17 years of interrogation experience, no prisoner had ever compared his neural extraction matrix to kitchen appliances. "Perhaps you need a demonstration of my power," he hissed, pressing a control that sent mild electrical pulses through Riley's restraints. "Oh, neat," Riley perked up. "It's like a massage chair. Can you turn it up a little? I've got this kink in my neck from sleeping on that prison cot." The Grand Inquisitor stared at her for a long moment, then double-checked his equipment readings. Everything was functioning perfectly. The human should be experiencing significant discomfort by now. "You will learn to fear me, human," Vexthul declared, though with noticeably less confidence than before. "Look, Vex," Riley said conversationally. "Can I call you Vex?" "Thanks. Here's the thing about fear. I spent 4 years sharing a studio apartment with 3 other people, worked retail during Black Friday, and survived organic chemistry with Professor Henderson, who once made a student cry just by looking at their molecular diagram. So unless you've got something scarier than a disappointed chemistry professor or a Karen demanding to speak to my manager, we might be here a while." Vexthul's tail twitched in confusion. These references meant nothing to him, but the human's complete lack of distress was beginning to feel personal. "Very well," Vexthul said, his voice taking on a more calculated tone. "If physical discomfort does not motivate you, perhaps psychological pressure will prove more effective." He gestured, and the chamber's walls shifted to display images of destruction, cosmic horror, and what Riley assumed were meant to be deeply disturbing alien nightmares. "Behold your fears made manifest," Vexthul proclaimed. Riley squinted at the swirling vortex of tentacles and screaming faces. "Are those supposed to be scary? Because honestly, they just look like my newsfeed on a Tuesday. Actually, hang on." She tilted her head. "Is that one doing the Macarena?" The door hissed open and a smaller reptilian alien scurried in, carrying a datapad and looking frazzled. "Sir, I'm Commander Zrick, your new assistant. The previous one requested a transfer to waste management after yesterday's session with the Andromedan warrior." "Not now, Zrick," Vexthul snapped. "I am demonstrating the futility of resistance to our prisoner." Zrick glanced at Riley, who waved cheerfully. "Hi there, love your uniform, very professional. Is that real silver threading or just really good synthetic?" "Oh, it's synthetic," Zrick replied automatically. The real silver is only for officers above grade 7, and I'm still working my way up from Zurich. Vexthul's voice could have frozen plasma. Sorry, sir. Zurich stepped back but kept shooting curious glances at Riley. Vexthul turned back to his prisoner. Now, human, let us explore your deepest traumas. I have studied your species' psychology extensively. Really? Riley perked up with genuine interest. That's awesome. I minored in psych. What's your take on cognitive behavioral therapy versus psychoanalytic approaches? What? Vexthul faltered. I am the one asking questions here. Sure. But I mean, if you've studied human psychology, you must have some opinions. Personally, I think Freud was kind of a hack, but Jung had some interesting ideas about collective unconscious, even if some of his conclusions were a bit out there. Commander Zrick started taking notes. Fascinating, please continue. Zrick, stop writing. Vexthul grabbed the datapad. Human, you will not deflect my interrogation with academic discourse. Oh, I'm not deflecting, Riley said seriously. I'm genuinely curious about your methodology. Like, are you using systematic desensitization or more of a flooding approach? Because honestly, the scary pictures thing is pretty basic. My little brother used to do the same thing with his phone when we were watching movies. Vexthul felt a vein begin to throb in his temple. I am employing advanced psychological warfare techniques that have been refined over centuries. Centuries? Riley whistled. And you're still using the show scary pictures approach? Yikes. No offense, but that's like still using Internet Explorer in 2024. Technically functional, but everyone's moved on. I don't understand that reference, Vexthul admitted, then immediately looked annoyed at himself for admitting it. Oh right, cultural gap. Think of it like still using stone knives when everyone else has laser weapons. Actually, wait. Riley looked thoughtful. Do you guys have the internet? Because if not, that explains so much about your interrogation techniques. Commander Zrick raised his hand tentatively. Sir, what's the internet? Vexthul threw his hands up in exasperation. It doesn't matter what the internet is. Human, you will tell me the codes. Or what? Riley asked pleasantly. You'll show me more pictures that look like a haunted house designed by someone who's never actually been scared? You'll play spooky sounds that are less intimidating than my neighbor's leaf blower? Come on, Vex. You seem like a smart guy. Surely you've got something better than Halloween decorations and uncomfortable seating. The Grand Inquisitor stared at her in complete bewilderment. 17 years of experience, thousands of successful interrogations, and he was being lectured on proper technique by his prisoner. Perhaps, he said slowly, you require more direct persuasion. Ooh, direct persuasion, Riley grinned. I love direct communication. It's so much more efficient than all this dramatic buildup. Vexthul activated a series of controls, and the chamber filled with a low-frequency hum that should have induced severe anxiety. The temperature dropped 20 degrees. The lighting became harsh and strobing, and a subsonic pulse designed to trigger fight-or-flight responses began emanating from hidden speakers. Riley shivered and squinted against the lights. Okay, now this is just rude. I'm getting a headache, and whoever designed your light show clearly never heard of seizure warnings. Also, this temperature thing is just petty. What's next? Going to play music too loudly and charge me for bottled water? You should be experiencing overwhelming panic by now, Vexthul said, checking his readings again. All systems showed optimal fear-inducing output. Should I be? Riley asked with genuine concern. Because honestly, this just feels like finals week in the dorms. Same temperature, same terrible lighting, same weird humming from the heating system that nobody ever bothered to fix. She paused, looking almost nostalgic. Actually, this is bringing back memories. Junior year, I had to write 3 papers in one night because I'd procrastinated on everything. Sarah Chen had been practicing violin at all hours. Marcus was stress cooking and setting off the smoke alarm every 20 minutes. And the guy upstairs was apparently training for a tap dancing marathon. Commander Zrick found himself leaning forward. How did you survive such conditions? Coffee, spite, and the knowledge that it would eventually end, Riley replied matter-of-factly. Plus, you adapt. Humans are really good at adapting to terrible situations. It's kind of our thing. Vexthul cranked up the intensity. The subsonic pulse increased, the temperature dropped another 10 degrees, and he added a chemical component designed to trigger claustrophobia. Riley wrinkled her nose. Ew, what's that smell? It's like someone mixed airplane bathroom with expired gym socks. It is a carefully calibrated olfactory assault designed to overwhelm your senses and break down psychological barriers. Vexthul announced proudly. Well, it's definitely overwhelming, but not in a scary way. More in a this is gross and I want to leave way. Kind of like when my roommate decided to make fish tacos but forgot about them for 3 days. Riley considered this. Actually, that was worse because I had to live there. The door chimed and another alien entered. This one was pale blue with multiple eyes and wore a lab coat covered in official-looking badges. Grand Inquisitor, the newcomer said in a reedy voice. I am Dr. Clenth, specialist in human psychological warfare. I have brought my complete files on human mental vulnerabilities. Excellent, Vexthul said, relief evident in his voice. Perhaps an expert opinion will prove more effective than my general techniques. Dr. Clenth consulted his datapad. According to my extensive research, humans are particularly susceptible to isolation anxiety, abandonment fears, and concerns about social status. Interesting, Riley said. Where'd you get your data? Years of careful study and observation, Dr. Clenth replied importantly. Cool. Did you actually talk to any humans during this research? Direct communication was deemed unnecessary, Dr. Clenth sniffed. Behavioral observation and cultural analysis provided sufficient data. Riley and Commander Zrick exchanged a look. Even Zrick could sense where this was heading. Human, Dr. Clenth announced. You are now completely isolated from your social group. Your pack status has been revoked. You have been abandoned by your tribal leadership. My what now? Riley blinked. Your tribe has cast you out, Dr. Clenth continued confidently. You are no longer part of the social hierarchy. This should cause immediate psychological collapse. Riley stared at him for a long moment, then started laughing. Not the bitter laugh of someone having a breakdown, but genuine, delighted laughter. Oh my God, she gasped between giggles. You think humans still live in tribes? Like actual tribes with pack leaders and social hierarchies? Dr. Clenth's confidence wavered. Do you not? I mean, sort of, but not really. Like, yeah, we have social groups and workplace hierarchies and family dynamics, but it's not like wolves or something. Most of us spend half our time complaining about our bosses and the other half avoiding our relatives at holidays. Vexthul looked at Dr. Clenth. Is this accurate? My research indicated tribal structures are fundamental to human psychology, Dr. Clenth stammered. Maybe 10,000 years ago, Riley said helpfully. These days, being isolated from your social group is called working from home, and half of us prefer it. This is impossible, Dr. Clenth muttered, frantically scrolling through his research. My data clearly indicates that humans require constant social validation to maintain psychological stability. Some do, Riley agreed. But others are introverts who recharge by being alone, and most of us fall somewhere in between. Plus, we're really good at making friends with random strangers, finding new social groups, or just being okay by ourselves for a while. She looked thoughtfully at Vexthul. Speaking of social validation, are you okay? You seem really stressed about this whole interrogation thing. I am not stressed, Vexthul snapped. I am a highly trained professional. Sure, but like professionally speaking, this has got to be frustrating. You've got your reputation, your career advancement probably depends on successful interrogations, and here I am, not cooperating with your tried and true methods. Vexthul's tail twitched. My methods are proven effective. On other species, sure, Riley said sympathetically. But every species is different, right? I mean, what works on a Vulcarian probably won't work on a Centauri. It's not your fault that your human intelligence was clearly terrible. The intelligence was not terrible, Vexthul protested. Vex, buddy, your expert over there thought we still lived in tribes. That's like preparing to interrogate someone and assuming they're going to be scared of fire because it's unnatural and magical. Commander Zrick looked up from his increasingly detailed notes. Sir, if I may, the human makes a valid point about intelligence-gathering methodology. Not now, Zrick. It's okay, Riley said encouragingly to Zrick. What were you thinking? Well, Zrick said hesitantly, in standard military doctrine, we always emphasize knowing your enemy. But it seems like we don't actually know humans very well at all. That's a great observation, Riley beamed at him. See, Vex? You've got good people working for you. Maybe the problem isn't your technique, it's just incomplete information. Dr. Clenth was having what appeared to be a minor breakdown in the corner, muttering about decades of research and academic reputation. So what would work on humans? Vexthul found himself asking, then immediately looked horrified at his own question. Oh, you're asking me to help with my own interrogation? Riley grinned. That's delightfully meta. Well, every human is different, but generally speaking, we respond pretty well to honesty, mutual respect, and really good snacks. Snacks? Commander Zrick wrote this down. Yeah, like, if you'd started with, hey, we need this information, and we're prepared to offer you something good in exchange, I might have been more cooperative. Instead, you went straight to the scary torture chair and the dramatic monologue. Vexthul felt his worldview shifting uncomfortably. But intimidation is the foundation of effective interrogation. For some species, maybe, Riley said. But humans have this weird thing where the harder you push, the more stubborn we get. It's like if you tell us we can't do something, suddenly that's the only thing we want to do. If you try to scare us, we get competitive about not being scared. That's... Vexthul paused, thinking about every failed human interrogation in their files. That's actually consistent with our intelligence reports. Right? Plus, and I don't mean to be presumptuous here, but you seem like you're under a lot of pressure yourself. When was the last time you took a vacation? I don't take vacations, Vexthul said automatically. I am a Grand Inquisitor. That doesn't sound sustainable, Riley said with genuine concern. Burnout is a real problem in high-stress careers. What do you do for self-care? I don't understand the question. Commander Zrick raised his hand again. Sir, what self-care? Oh boy. Riley sighed. Okay, this is making so much more sense now. Vex, when was the last time you did something just because you enjoyed it? Vexthul stared at her blankly. Something that wasn't work-related, Riley clarified. A hobby, hanging out with friends, reading a book, listening to music, taking a long bath, anything. The silence stretched out uncomfortably. Sir, Commander Zrick said quietly, I think the human is trying to help you. She's supposed to be my prisoner, Vexthul exploded, not my therapist. Why can't I be both? Riley asked reasonably. I mean, we're stuck here together anyway. Might as well make the best of it. Dr. Clenth looked up from his data pad with wild eyes. My entire career is built on incorrect assumptions about human psychology. 17 years of research, 3 published papers, and a lecture series at the Imperial Academy, all completely wrong. Hey, it's not completely wrong, Riley said kindly. It's just incomplete. Science is iterative, right? You learn something, test it, adjust your hypothesis, learn more. That's how progress works. But I'm supposed to be the expert, Dr. Clenth wailed. Expertise isn't about never being wrong, Riley replied. It's about being willing to update your knowledge when you get new information. The fact that you're willing to question your previous work actually makes you more of an expert, not less. Commander Zurich had filled up 3 pages of notes. This is the most educational interrogation I've ever witnessed. It's not an interrogation anymore, Vexthul said miserably, slumping in his chair. It's become some kind of therapy session and somehow I'm the patient. There's nothing wrong with therapy, Riley said gently. Everyone needs someone to talk to sometimes. Grand Inquisitors don't need therapy. Says who? Vexthul opened his mouth, then closed it again. The manual doesn't specifically address... The manual probably doesn't address a lot of things, Riley observed, like what to do when your interrogation methods don't work, or how to handle the stress of a job where you are expected to break people's minds for a living. It is an honorable profession, Vexthul said weakly. I'm sure it serves an important function in your society, Riley agreed diplomatically. But that doesn't mean it's not emotionally taxing. Plus, if I had to guess, there's probably a lot of pressure to maintain a perfect success rate. Vexthul's shoulders sagged. 17 years without a single failure. Until today, Riley said softly. Until today, he confirmed. The chamber door chimed again, and this time several junior officers peered in curiously. Is everything all right in here, sir? One of them asked. We heard shouting, and then it got very quiet. Everything is fine, Vexthul snapped, but without his usual conviction. Actually, Riley called out, we're having a really interesting discussion about workplace stress and professional development. You guys want to join? There's plenty of room. The prisoner is not supposed to invite people to her interrogation, Vexthul protested, but she's making excellent points about career sustainability. Commander Zrick interjected. Sir, with respect, when was the last time any of us had professional development training? More officers began filing into the chamber, drawn by curiosity and the novel experience of a friendly prisoner. Human, one of them said, is it true that your species deliberately seeks out stress for entertainment? Oh, absolutely, Riley replied enthusiastically. We have entire industries built around controlled fear experiences, horror movies, roller coasters, extreme sports, spicy food challenges. We pay money to be scared or uncomfortable in safe environments. A collective murmur of amazement went through the assembled aliens. That's fascinating, Dr. Clenth said, his scientific curiosity overriding his career crisis. It suggests that humans have developed stress tolerance as an adaptive advantage. Exactly, Riley beamed at him. We're basically stress-tested from birth. Family dynamics, school pressure, job hunting, traffic, customer service, social media, 24-hour news cycles, the anxiety of whether that text message tone means something important or just another spam call. No wonder our standard techniques don't work, muttered one of the junior officers. Vexthul looked around at his staff, all hanging on every word from their supposed prisoner, and felt something fundamental shift in his understanding of leadership, expertise, and the nature of his career. Perhaps, he said slowly, we should consider alternative approaches to information gathering. Now you're talking. Riley grinned. Collaborative problem-solving is way more effective than adversarial relationships. The rescue arrived 3 hours later, but by then, Riley had already talked her way out of the restraints and was leading an impromptu workshop on stress management techniques. Commander Zrick was teaching the junior officers some basic meditation breathing exercises he'd learned from Riley, while Dr. Clenth frantically took notes on actual human behavior for his revised research. This is highly irregular, Captain Hayes said as she and her team entered the interrogation chamber to find Riley sitting cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by attentive alien officers. Captain, Riley jumped up. Perfect timing. I was just explaining the concept of work-life balance to Grand Inquisitor Vexthul. Vexthul, who had shed his ceremonial robes and was sitting in a circle like everyone else, looked up sheepishly. Captain Hayes, I formally request that Cadet Martinez be offered a position as our cultural liaison and psychological consultant. You're offering your prisoner a job? Captain Hayes asked incredulously. Former prisoner, Riley corrected. We worked out a mutually beneficial arrangement. They get accurate information about human psychology and better interrogation techniques for future encounters, and I get the satisfaction of turning a potentially traumatic experience into a learning opportunity for everyone involved. Plus snacks, Commander Zrick added helpfully. The human was very clear about the importance of snacks. Captain Hayes looked around the chamber, taking in the relaxed atmosphere, the scattered notes, and the fact that her supposedly captured officer was clearly running some kind of alien self-help group. Martinez, did you just accidentally end the interrogation by befriending your captors? Pretty much, yeah, Riley replied cheerfully. Turns out most conflicts are just communication problems in disguise. Dr. Clenth raised his hand. Captain, if I may, your officer has provided invaluable insights that will completely revolutionize our approach to interspecies relations. I would like to request permission to shadow her for continued research purposes." "Absolutely not," Captain Hayes said firmly. "Martinez, you're coming back with us." But I was just getting somewhere with Vex's commitment issues," Riley protested. "My commitment issues are my own business," Vexthul said with wounded dignity. "See? Classic avoidance behavior," Riley said to Dr. Klenth, who wrote this down eagerly. As the rescue team prepared to leave, Commander Zrick approached Riley with a small device. "This is a communication unit. I would like to stay in contact if that's acceptable. I've learned more about leadership in the past few hours than in my entire previous career." "Of course." Riley gave him her contact information. "And remember what we talked about regarding assertiveness training. You've got good instincts, you just need to trust them more." Vexthul appeared with a formal-looking document. "Cadet Martinez, I have prepared a commendation for your service to interspecies understanding. Also, my personal communication code, should you ever wish to continue our discussion about professional development." "Thanks, Vex, and seriously, look into that vacation time. Maybe try a hobby that doesn't involve interrogating people. Pottery, gardening, underwater basket weaving, whatever speaks to you." As they walked toward the shuttle, Captain Hayes shook her head in amazement. "Martinez, in 30 years of military service, I have never seen anything like that." "Like what, Captain?" "You turned a military interrogation into group therapy and somehow made friends with everyone involved." Riley shrugged. "People are people, you know? Even when they're scaly alien people trying to extract classified information from you. Everyone's just doing their job and trying to figure out life." 2 months later, Riley received a package from Vexthul containing a ceramic bowl he'd made in his new pottery class and a thank you card from Commander Zrick, who had been promoted after implementing Riley's suggestions about team communication. Dr. Klenth's revised paper, Human Psychological Resilience, a comprehensive study based on direct observation and interview, became required reading at the Imperial Academy and led to a complete overhaul of their interspecies relations program. The war officially ended 6 weeks after Riley's interrogation, when both sides realized they'd been operating on completely incorrect assumptions about each other's motivations and capabilities. The peace treaty was signed over dinner, and what Riley later described as the best alien snacks I've ever had. In her official report, Riley wrote, "Mission accomplished through application of basic human decency, active listening skills, and strategic deployment of friendship. Recommend immediate revision of all first contact protocols to include cultural exchange and better catering." Captain Hayes approved the report but added a note. "Recommend keeping Martinez away from future interrogation scenarios unless we want to accidentally adopt more alien military personnel." Riley kept that note framed on her desk for the rest of her career, right next to the pottery bowl from Vex and the regular updates from her ever-growing network of alien friends throughout the galaxy.